In this video, I'm going to show you how you can install the Mullvad VPN app on a Raspberry Pi. Now for this to work, your Raspberry Pi is going to have to be running an operating system using a 64-bit architecture. I'm using a Raspberry Pi 5, and the operating system that is running on this Raspberry Pi is Kali Linux. Let's go ahead and get started with the video.
Welcome to Fresh Forensics, your go-to destination for everything Linux.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel.
Now if I run apt search Mullvad, most likely the Mullvad VPN itself will not show up in the apt repositories. You might get this Python 3 Mullvad API wrapper for the Mullvad API, but that is not the VPN app. So to do this, we are going to ultimately be using the instructions for installing the app without the Mullvad repository. Now before we begin with any of the instructions for the installation, I'm going to assume that you have already updated your repositories and upgraded your system. If you haven't done that, it is definitely suggested that you do so. You can do that simply by running the one-liner sudo apt update -y ampersand sudo apt upgrade -y. Go ahead and do that, and then meet me back at this point in the video when you are done. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is open up our Firefox web browser, and we're going to head over to https://mullvad.net. Click on Downloads, and you are brought to this page. It attempts to recognize the system that you are on, which is accurate. This is a Linux system, and we are brought to these instructions for installing the app using the Mullvad repository. Now, it says that the app is available via our repository servers only for Ubuntu, Debian, and Fedora. Well, Kali Linux is based off of Debian, so naturally, one might assume that these instructions will work. So let's go ahead and follow the instructions, and we're going to see it fail, and I'm going to show you why. So of course, as always, we're going to be using the stable as opposed to the beta, and I'm simply going to copy these commands and paste them into the terminal. First thing that we're going to do is download the Mullvad signing key. Okay, so we are going to paste that command into the terminal. This will download the signing key and paste it into our key rings directory where other keys might be located on our system. Now we will copy this command, and this is to add the Mullvad repository server to apt. Now we see that the command appears to have ran successfully. We could even run echo $?, and that will give us the status code for the previously ran command. It gives us a 0, letting us know that the command that we just ran successfully with no errors. We can do an ls-l on etsy apt sources.list.d and mullvad.list, which is the file we just copied. And there it is, it does exist. Now if we go back to the page, the next step is to do an update, and then the repository for Mullvad should now show up in our update, and then once that completes, we should be able to install Mullvad VPN from the newly added Mullvad repository. So we're going to run sudo apt update. And what you see is that when it tries to connect with the newly added Mullvad repository, we get a 404 not found. And then we have an error saying that the repository does not have a release file. Updating from such a repository can't be done securely and therefore is disabled by default. So that is the problem with trying to do the install using the Mullvad repository. Therefore, we are going to move on to the next way of installing this, which is going to be to install the app without the Mullvad repository. First, though, we're going to have to delete the Mullvad repository that we just added to our sources.list.d directory. So we'll do that by running sudo remove etc apt sources.list.d mullvad.list. Go ahead and remove that repository. Okay, so let's head back over to the web page. We're going to scroll a little bit further down, and we have this section near the bottom titled Manually Installing the Package File. We need to make sure to populate the correct options so that we get the correct binary for our Raspberry Pi. We're going to come over here to the right. First thing to do is to select the repository. We want to make sure that you are using the stable repository and not the beta repository. So we're going to click on stable. For the distribution, we are not using a Fedora distribution. We are using a Debian-based distribution. So let's click on Ubuntu Debian. Finally, and most important, is to select the correct architecture. And that is going to be, of course, ARM64 and not Intel x86-64. Intel x86-64 is for your desktop system, for your laptop. We want the ARM64-bit image. So once again, stable repository, Ubuntu Debian for the distribution, and ARM64 for the architecture. Once you have done that, you will have the correct image, and you can download that image by simply clicking on this green button that says download.deb. That's the simple, easy way to do it. I'm going to download this a little differently. I'm going to right-click it and then click on copy link. We're going to go back to the command line, and we're going to use wget. So I'm going to run wget and then -- trust - server - names. And then I'm going to paste in that link that I just copied from the web page. Inside of the link, you can see that it actually says ARM-deb, another reference that this binary is meant for the ARM architecture. I'll go ahead and hit enter. Once it has finished downloading, we can run ls, and we see that we now have the binary. We can run the file command, and we see that it is a Debian binary package. We can also run dpkg -I on the binary, and it'll give us detailed information about it. And we see that the architecture is ARM64-bit. I'm going to pull up the web page again. There is a link for installation instructions. I'll click on that link. It takes you to this page. We have to find the section on installing the app not using the repository. Here it is right here. And you can see that this is where I got that command and the syntax for using wget with -- trust - server - names. So we already ran this command right here. Next step is to install the package by running sudo apt install / followed by the name of the package. So we'll run the command sudo apt install / and then I'll just start typing a few letters to the package, and then I should be able to tab to autocomplete and hit enter. Don't worry about this last line that gives us a notice. This is not an error. I can once again use echo with $? to print the status code for the previously ran command. And we do get a 0, meaning that the command ran successfully with no errors. So now the package should be installed. So now I should be able to use the which command and run that on Mullvad, and that will tell me not only if it's installed, but specifically where in the file system it is installed. And it tells us that it is installed in user bin Mullvad. Now we can use Mullvad from the command line, or we could use the GUI. If you're new to using Mullvad VPN and or the command line, I definitely suggest to use the GUI. So we're going to come up here to the applications menu in the upper left, and I'm going to type Mullvad into the search bar and open that up. So we get the GUI, and you can see in the upper right hand portion of the screen, we have this little icon or favicon representing the VPN, and it lets you know that it currently is disconnected. Now, obviously, we're going to need a login number to log in. You will had to have previously created a account and funded it. If you don't know how to generate an account number, it's pretty simple. We'll head back over to the home page. Over here on the right-hand side of the page, I'm going to click on Get Started. And to generate an account number, click Generate Account Number. That will create an account number for you. And then with that account number, you can add time to your account. So I'm going to copy that account number, paste it into the login prompt of the app, and click on the arrow button. That logs us in to the app, but we have not funded it yet. So you need to purchase credit. So if I click on Buy More Credit, that will open up another page in the web browser. It automatically logs you in to your account, and then you can pay for account time using whatever way works for you. How many VPN providers do you know that allow you to pay for VPN time in cryptocurrency or even cash? Okay, so I am now logged back in to the VPN using a valid account number with time. When logging in for the first time, a new device is created. Exit out of that and that. Now, though we are logged in, we have not made a VPN connection yet. If I come up here to the upper right and click on this gear bar icon, it opens up the settings. This is an amazing VPN provider. There's so many different advanced options that you have available using this. For example, you have data, which is defense against AI guided traffic analysis. It hides patterns in your encrypted VPN traffic. You have the multi-hop feature. Multi-hop routes your traffic into one WireGuard server and out another. Makes it harder to trace. Does result in increased latency, but it increases your anonymity online. So I am going to choose multi-hop. For VPN settings, I want the app to launch upon startup, and I want it to auto connect. So it will automatically connect to a server when the app launches. If we click on DNS content blockers, you can utilize different blockers. So we're going to block ads. We're going to block trackers. We'll leave the adult content. Malware, because I'm on a Linux system, because I'm using Kali Linux, I'm not going to block malware because this might interfere with us downloading and using certain things like Metasploit. And I do not want to enable IPv6. For tunnel protocol, you can choose between WireGuard, OpenVPN, or automatic. I'm actually going to choose WireGuard and then open up the WireGuard settings. You can choose the port number or leave it automatic. You can make it custom. You can also apply obfuscation. You can specifically choose shadow socks or UDP over TCP, and we can even utilize quantum resistant tunneling. As I said, there's a lot of features inside of Mullvad VPN. You do also have the kill switch feature. This will prevent your traffic from leaking outside of the VPN tunnel if your network suddenly stops working or if the tunnel fails. I'm not going to use that in this situation, though that is very useful. And you also have lockdown mode. This is even more secure than the kill switch mode. For lockdown mode, you must be connected to a Mullvad VPN server to be able to reach the internet. I'm going to go back to the main portion of the app, and we can click on the country. And because I chose the multi-hop function, I'm choosing the entry point as well as the exit point. This is a little bit more advanced, and it also may reduce the amount of servers available for you. This drastically increases your privacy, security, and anonymity. So for the entry, I'm going to use a server inside of the United States. I'll open up Los Angeles, California, and I'm going to choose one of the WireGuard servers in Los Angeles, California. And then for the exit node, I'm going to choose a country such as Sweden or Switzerland. So I'll click on Sweden. We'll take a look at Gothenburg, and we'll choose a WireGuard server here. Now I have the entry and the exit node set up. It is making the connection. We see that we are now connected. In the upper right, we have our green lock. It shows us we are using quantum resistance, multi-hop, as well as DNS content blockers. I can open this up right here and it'll actually show me the connection details, the WireGuard server for the entry, as well as the exit with the IP addresses and port numbers. So now if we go back to the command line, we will have a new interface that has been created on our system. So if I run ifconfig, we see that we now have this new interface, a virtual interface for our VPN. Here's the IP address. I can run Mullvad status. Tells us that we are connected and gives us information from the command line. The last thing that you're going to want to do is to go back over to the web page. I'm going to refresh the page. You can see here at the top that it now shows us that we have a secure Mullvad connection. It actually gives us information on the specific WireGuard server we are using, and we are going to check for any leaks. So click on the Check for Leaks tab, and that will do a connection check. It'll let you know that you are not only using the Mullvad VPN app, but that you have no DNS leaks and you have no WebRTC leaks. You want to see that all three of these are green. All right, if you have made it to the end of this tutorial, congratulations. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching.
If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Linux, cybersecurity, and hacking content. And as always, keep learning
and stay fresh.
I'll see you in the next video.